The Masimanyane Women's Rights International, the Women's Ikhwelo Network, Eastern Cape, along with women's groups nationwide, are calling for an end to the culture of sexual harassment in South Africa's legal system and our society as a whole. These organizations believe that the developments in the tribunal of the Judge President of the Eastern Cape, Selby Mbenenge, show gender inequality. The groups say gender inequality a key feature of the tribunal and is being perpetuated by the accused and his legal team. For more on this, let's now speak to Masimanyane Women's Rights International founder and Executive Director, Dr. Lesley Ann Foster. And she joins us now via our video link. Dr. Lesley, thank you so much for your time this evening here on SABC News. Now, this week we saw the Judge President of the Eastern Cape, Selby Mbenenge, giving us his testimony and giving us his accounts and his version of events in terms of what transpired between him and Andy Somengo, the Secretary of the Judge. Maybe let's start off here and get your analysis when it comes to the case so far.
Well, I think one of the features of the case is that it has highlighted so much the unequal power relations within a work environment. In this particular case, it's within the judiciary, and that's a very, very worrying issue for us, because the fight against gender-based violence has to be fought by all sectors of society, and the judiciary plays a particularly important role in women's access to justice, particularly women that are survivors of gender-based violence in our country. It's over 30 years now we are not winning this war, and the inequality, the use of culture in particular, as an instrument to justify or normalize gender-based violence was highlighted through this case, and that worried us tremendously, because at no time should violence or gender-based violence of any kind be justified, through the use of culture. So that's something that we're very concerned about. But there are many other issues. This case has highlighted a complete disregard for women, a disrespect both for the advocate in this case, for the complainant in the case. There was a lack of equality when it came to how they were allowed to present their evidence and how the evidence, by the alleged perpetrator was then provided, given the opportunity to express himself. So we see how the justice system itself is not serving women. This tribunal is a crucial one for us, because of the struggle that we have to reduce the levels of gender-based violence in our country. We're struggling. It's more than 30 years now. We have so much powerful, political instruments. We have the president behind us for gender-based violence. We were fortunate as Women's Ikhwelo Network to sign the Declaration on Violence Against Women that he himself, the president, established. We were part of the national team that developed the National Strategic Plan on Violence Against Women. So we had that strong political commitment. Yet when it comes to cases, that occur in the country, you see this inequality coming to the surface, and the use of various parts of our society, being used to normalize violence. The normalization of violence is one of the key drivers of gender-based violence in our country, and we have to stop it. We have to stop it. We cannot call ourselves a human rights society. We cannot call ourselves an equal society. The equality enshrined in the Constitution is not being valued in any way. And so these are the concerns that we have. And we as women's, networks around the country that have been fighting for such a long time are disheartened by this tribunal.
And Dr. Lesley Ann, maybe let's also then talk about, what does this case say about the power dynamics in which one finds in a workspace, particularly power dynamics perpetuated against younger staffers, and in this instance, a woman?
I think, there are case studies already, this case law that has already shown what the responsibility is of somebody who is in a situation of power in the workplace. We have a global movement which has given rise to the ILO, the International Labour Organization's Convention 190, which speaks against the sexual harassment within a workplace. And in South African law, I mean, we're very clear that anybody within a working relationship in power has got to uphold the principles of that position. And even, the case law says that even if a woman may show some interest, may show, that she's ambivalent at some point, the person in power has the authority, has the responsibility to maintain a professional relationship, and we haven't seen that happening. So this is very, very serious for us. And I think because it sets a precedent for the country. It sets a precedent for the country on how men in places or in positions of power need to treat subordinates. At no place, at no time should this be allowed. And what we're seeing in this case is that there appears to be justification for why such a relationship was pursued. And that's completely, if you have a younger person, and she's in a position within your environment where you hold the most power, it is your responsibility as that leader, as that person in power, to uphold a professional stance. And what we I must say this, what we're finding is that the International Law Association is saying that South Africa has extremely high levels of violence within the legal profession, extremely, up to 73%. That's shocking. They've been bullied, they've been sexually harassed, they've been coerced. And so we're asking as gender activists, if we want justice for women, and we see this playing out in front of our eyes, what are the chances of us ever getting that for women on the ground?
Yeah, and Dr. Lesley, I mean, one would then ask, what needs to take place to try and address some of the issues of sexual harassment, particularly in the legal sector?
Accountability. At the end of the day, we need people in positions of power to be held accountable for misconduct in the workplace. That's what it is. Accountability is incredibly important, and what we find is that there are excuses for the behavior, for the misconduct, which then leads to, the continuation of that abuse within those power structures. So we are in an equal society, and that's about power differentials. We need to address that issue.
All right. Dr. Lesley Ann, thank you so much for your time, ma'am. That's Dr. Lesley Ann Foster. She is the founder and executive director for Masimanyane Women's Rights International Group.